writing, a speech you are listening to, a seminar you are listening to, a lecture you are listening to. Yesterday, we dwelt so much on this, but we forgot to record it, and that was unfortunate. So
This won't spoil my trouser. Second time it is.
please, Bami Turner, you mute yourself if you are not asked to talk. So summarization is a skill that you will be called upon to do from time to time in your academic work. You need to summarize all lectures and notes. You need to summarize all points given during lectures and private reading activities when preparing for examination. Even when writing an essay, you need to summarize your point at the end of the essay. Now, summary is a day-to-day activity. You definitely must know how to do it. So, the essence of, the summary of this whole introduction to this point is just to tell us that summary is a day-to-day activity. So, it is important for you to learn it. You can see all the story, all the explanation, the additional information that they used. But the main thing they are trying to say here is that summary is a day-to-day activity, and it is important for you to learn it or to know how to do it. That is a way to summarize. So if you are in a class and the teacher or the lecturer was delivering a speech and he delivered this much to this point, if you are to write down in your notes, in your jottings, if you are to write down, if you are to pen down anything, the most important thing you need to write is that summary is a day-to-day activity. Therefore, it is necessary to learn how to do it. So you won't need to be writing all of these additions and further explanations. Your note will be too bulky. The main aim of summarizing is so that you can be able to assess the key points whenever you, for instance, you attended a lecture and you note down or you noted down the important points that were delivered from the lecture. Now, when you want to read the note later on, it should be straight to the point. The note should not take time to read and digest. That is the reason why you jotted down. It's not like when you are listening to a speech, a lecture, or anything, that you have to write everything. When the person laugh, you write it. When the person jump up, you write it. When the person shout, you write it. When the person gives an example, you write it. No, 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 no. The skill that this particular topic is trying to create in you is the ability to fish out, to filter out the important points in anything you are doing, whether in a lecture, in a seminar, or anywhere you find yourself that you need to engage. Now, let's leave that introduction. We were practical on this course yesterday, and it pained me that we did not record it. We forgot. So, what is the aim of studying how to summarize? At the end of this particular unit, we should be able to separate essential from non-essential ideas. We should be able to distinguish between details and ideas. We should be able to remove repetition and restatement from passages. And we should be able to apply the summarization techniques learned to summarize passages of varying length. Now, I mentioned something very important when we were doing this yesterday, that the main way or the only way you can learn how to summarize is when you do it practically. And I stated categorically that yesterday that it is a question in your exam. They'll ask you that in order to learn how to summarize, you have to do it you have to do it practically. The only way you can learn how to summarize is for you to learn it practically. Do it yourself like this. So as a result of that, we'll be doing so many practicals in this class. We hope that this class will expose you to how to summarize, and at the end of this class, you will start writing summaries. When you attend a class, you will learn how to write or note down only the important things that the speaker is saying, not just everything the speaker is saying. So we have an activity here. You are now going to read a passage about River Nile. As you know, the Nile is a great river in Africa, which flow through and gives life to the plains of Egypt. Now, go ahead and read the passage, trying to grasp its meaning. Now, let's do the practical aspect. Somebody will read the Nile for us in a very fast way. Just read it normally, like you are reading normal book. Is Grace available for that? We are just repeating the class. We've done this yesterday, but it pained me that we did not record it. Grace, are you available for that? If you are not available, if Banner is here, okay, it's not even Banner, Dr. Turner. Yes?
Yes.
So please read the story to us. I hope you can see my screen. So the story is,
The great river Nile flowed gently. The Nile. The great river Nile flows gently in his course through the hot plains in the first half of the year, but later on, when the melting snows and the winds on the mountains far to the south swell its
yes, it's tributaries. Don't worry, move on. It's tribal.
tributaries spread rich soil from Ethiopia cover his valley, one of the stretches of fertile land along his banks. The settlers found in the south valley
We can't hear you clearly. Your place is noisy. The background.
even without the use of the plough.
We really don't have much time like this. Is Oreo Fair available?
Implements for
We can't hear you, Grace. Your place is.
for their wheat.
Oreo Fair, are you available?
Yes, sir.
Please take it.
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
See, if you wait, I'll call you later. I did online class now. I'll call you later.
Oreo Fair, you can read it.
She can hear you, but she cannot see you.
You can't see the
App
screen.
only, look. Zoom app.
So you can't see the screen. No problem.
She
Endurance, are you
she's
there?
seeing the screen. Okay.
Yes, that you have to read the story to us. The Nile.
Okay, can you see me?
We don't need to see you. Just read the story to us. What you are seeing on the screen.
Okay, only she doesn't need, you don't need to see him. Okay. Then please kindly raise your voice a little bit.
Is Oreo Fair there? You have to read this story that is on the screen. River Nile.
You have to read this story on the screen.
Okay, let someone else take that. I think Oreo Fair is a new user of the Zoom. Mbank, are you here?
Yes.
I'm here, sir.
The great
All right,
river
please take it,
now
sir.
flows gently in the coast.
Let's leave
Okay.
Oreo Fair.
The great.
Okay.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you. Mbank. Right on.
Okay. The great river Nile flows gently in its course through the hot plains in the first half of the year. But later on, when the melting snows and the rains on the mountains far to the south swell its tributaries, the Nile overflows. It spreads rich, muddy soil from Ethiopia over its valley and forms deep stretches of green. Fertile lands along its banks, the settlers found in the soft, rich earth. Barley and wheat and other crops could be planted, even without the use of the plough, and they began to make many settlements of farmers. They use more implements for tilling the soil, and flint for their weapons. And as time passed, they learned the use of copper.
Thank you. That is very great. Now, this is assuming we're all listening to Mr. Mbang giving a speech on River Nile, and he is done with his speech now. So I'm meant to be jotting down as he was teaching us about or reading to us about River Nile. If I'm to jot down, I'm meant to jot down or note down only the important things from what he's saying, not everything he's saying. So how do I pick out the important things? If this is all Mr. Umbang taught us today in the class, what would be my notes on this particular aspect of his speech? Now we have to do that practically. We need to remove some things that are not necessary, some addition. Now, the first thing we are going to do is, in each of the sentences that we have here, this is sentence one, for instance, this is one full stop, that is one sentence. We are going to remove some things, maybe some words, let me not say things, we will remove some words that after we remove them from the sentence can still stand. Like the removal of those words from this sentence will not cause the damage of the sentence. Like the sentence will still be able to stand. So anything we can remove, any word we can remove from this sentence now, that the sentence will still make sense, will still be able to stand. That word is just an addition to the sentence. So it's not going to appear in your summary. Only the main points, the important point from this sentence will be in your summary. So if Mr. Umbang read all this to us and stop here, my summary, my notes, me that I'm jotting down what he's saying, should not be this long. So let's do a practical work here. I want someone to take it slowly. Another person now should read it slowly, like read it like you are trying to digest it in a slow way. Yes, anybody, any volunteer. Let
The
me
great,
call names again. Yes.
the, the great river, the great river now flows gently in its course through the hot plains in the first half of the year. But later on, when the melting snows and the rains on the mountains start to sour its tributaries, the Nile overflows. It spreads rich, muddy soil from the Ethiopia over its valley and forms deep stretches of green, fertile lands along its banks. The settlers found in the salt-rich earth barley and wheat and other crops could be planted even without the use of plough, and they began to make many settlements of farmers. They used more implements for tilling the soil and flint for their weapons, and as time passed, they learned the use of copper.
Thank you. Now we have an assignment. What we will now start doing is, don't forget that the only way you can learn how to summarize is for you to do it what? Practically. That is the only way you can learn how to do summary. There is no note somewhere. There is no book. They will tell you this is how to summarize. You just have to learn it practically. That is the way you will know how to summarize. So now, in sentence one, we've done this yesterday, so let's not waste time, please. In sentence one, I think, is Joe in the class? Joe was the main contributor in the class yesterday. If Joe is in the class, I think the class will go fast this afternoon. Thank God Joe is here. So,
Good evening, sir.
good evening, Mr. Joe. You're welcome. So you help us a lot here today. Let's not waste time today. So in this first sentence, what and what can we remove and the sentence will not be damaged? The Great River Nile flows gently in its course through the hot plains in the first half of the year. But later on, when the melting snows and the rains of the mountains far to the south swell its tributaries, the Nile overflows. What and what can we remove and we still retain the sentence structure? Yes? It's a general thing. Everybody can unmute. Say what you think we can remove. Brainstorm. Should we remove the Great River Nile? Will this sentence still be okay? Should we remove, but later on, will it still be okay? Yes. Ideas. Those of you in the class yesterday should be able to contribute to this without headache. Yes. Do we have people in the class? Somebody is typing something there. Yes, who is going to help us? What can we remove?
Yes, sir. I will do great. We can start with the revised road in his house through
Okay.
the hot plains.
Like we said yesterday in the
Is it my network or Mr. Joe? Your
that
network
first
is.
part of the reading, hot plains in the first half of the year. So then we said the Great River Nile flows.
Somebody already said we can remove great out of it. You don't need to tell us how big the river is. Just tell me the river Nile flows gently. And I think I support that. Mr. Joe, your network is poor. Mr. Olamilekon, can you help us? I'm not sure Mr. Olamilekon was in the class yesterday. Those are newcomers. But I think you should have an... Okay. Endurance, are you here? What should we remove in this first sentence? And the sentence will not be destroyed. Endurance is not in class. Oriofe, can you try? Okay. I was actually thinking it was you guys. So it was from my side. I hope you guys can now. I'm sharing my screen back. Once you're able to see it, let me know. So, Mr. Joe, please come again. What should we remove? Mr. Joe, what should we remove? Is my screen
You
visible? Can you see the screen
suggest
now?
Sorry,
they should
I'm not
remove
able to follow because my network is
it.
disturbing.
Yes, it's same here. I was even bounced out. I just came back. So, you can start now. The sentence, what should we remove? It's just what we did yesterday. The same thing.
We'll remove the great. Then we just start it.
I'm also suggesting the great one.
Yes, okay.
I'm
Let's say the
suggesting
great,
the
the
great.
great is out of it. So we start. River Nile flows gently in its course through the hot plains in the first half of the year, comma, and so on and so forth. What else can we remove? It's not only the great.
We can also remove gently. You don't need
Gently.
to show
That is,
how
that is an
it's
adjective. Yes. Just
We can also remove the hot. We can also remove the hot.
the hot plains in the first half. I think that hot plains is very important in that sentence. Okay, let's stop.
because
Okay,
once
let's
We
assume
can,
we remove the hot. Hold on. So we now have River Nile flows in its course
Yeah,
through.
they should remove the hot.
Okay, hold on. River Nile flows
The hot
gently.
we
plains
can
in
remove
the first
gently
half
in its
of the
course.
year.
You can remove gently in the course. River
Okay,
Nile flows
gently in
through
its
the hot
course.
plain. You can as
Okay,
well
so when
remove
I
gently
say
in the course.
River Nile flows
In its course,
through the
yes.
hot plains in the first half of the year.
River Nile
Fine, that makes
flows
sense.
through the hot plains the first half of the year. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right. Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, it's like Mr. Olamilekon is saying something. So which means all of this can be shortened to River Nile flows through the hot plains in the first half of the year. Fine, the
Through
idea is
the
passed.
hot plains in the first half of the year. Yes.
Fine. What of the second
Through
part?
the hot
What,
plains.
what can we remove in the second part? And we will not destroy the sentence. What should we remove?
We should remove later. We should remove bots. Later on can still be there.
Remove but.
Okay. Later on, comma. What else can we remove there?
Yes.
Or what else should we remove?
But later on,
When
we can remove the when.
Okay. Later on, the
But later
melting
yes.
on,
snores.
the melting.
Okay.
The
Later
melting
on, the
snores.
melting snow and the melting snow and the rain on the
We can remove the
mountain
when.
Okay.
part of the south.
So we now
Well,
say later on,
tributaries.
the melting snows and the rains on the
The
mountains.
melting.
What else should we remove?
Mountains. To the south, remove the far. To the south went mountain far.
Okay, we should remove far.
No, you can't remove the far. I'm not sure you can remove the far. No, I'm not sure you can remove the far.
Okay.
It will render the sentence incomplete. I think
Okay.
that one is okay like that. To the tributaries.
All right. So let's assume what we have here now is River Nile flows through the hot plains in the
You want
first half
to
of the year. Later on, the melting snows and the rains of the mountains far to the south swell its tributaries. There is something we can still remove here. The main idea in this later on is that River Nile overflows. Let's look at it like that. Okay, what is in your note? Let me ask us. We've read this part. What is in your note? Those of you jotting. What did you write down? Or is it everything here that is in your note? Don't forget, you are meant to be noting down important points while reading or while listening to a speech. The answer is in the material, but you need to do this practical aspect. Brainstorm. That is the only way you can learn how to summarize. So, we removed the great, we removed gently. What else did we remove here?
Gently in
Uh-huh.
its course.
Then we removed but. We removed what else do we remove? Okay, let's say we retain the rest. Let's just accept that that is enough for a summary of this particular sentence. The
We remove
second sentence starts from
mentioned.
it spreads rich and stops here. What can we remove? I will not destroy the sentence. Yes, you have to do it yourself. What should we remove?
Molding
Okay,
is
so
where rich soil from
Rich is spread multi soil in Ethiopia. Oh,
if you remove modi, what will it become? Read it out.
is where rich soil from Ethiopian over its valleys and from deep stretch.
Mm, mm. Is there anything we can remove from this sentence? Let's look at it critically. Or we should just leave it and move to the next sentence.
They should remove the molding now.
Modi. So we say it's press rich soil. Are you sure the type of soil is not important? Okay, that is very short. Let's take this part. What can we remove? Don't worry, you will get to the solution very soon. I'm just testing your thinking now. Yes, what do we have here? The settlers found in the soft, rich earth, barley and wheat and other crops could be planted, even without the use of plow, and they began to make many settlers or farmers. Yes, what and what? What is the main point here? Don't forget that what you are looking for here is the main point. Then you can remove every other thing. The main point can stand alone. So let's move the supporting details. What are we going to have here? This is third sentence. Anybody? Yes. Nobody is talking. We don't know it. We've done this yesterday.
Don't know it too.
You don't this long sentence, you don't know what you can remove, and the thing will still be okay. What if we say the settlers found that barley and wheat and other crops could be planted even without the use of plow? Can that stand alone? The settlers found that barley and wheat and other crops could be planted even without the use of plow. Do I agree with that? In that case, we have removed in the soft
Maybe they should remove the
rich
crop.
earth,
Other
and we
other
have removed
could be planted.
yes, and we have removed and they began to make many settlers or farmers. We remove two things there. We remove this and we remove many settlers or farmers. Now let's leave all of this and go to something important. We have the glossary here. Two things you are supposed to learn if you don't know the meaning for. Settlers, those are the first set of people who began to live in a place. So when you have a site now, the first set of people that arrive there, that build their house there and start living there, those are the settlers there. Then flint, you know that we normally call it in the local this thing, the millstones, or what do you call them? That when you normally use them locally to spark fire, a very hard kind of stone used to produce fire. In the medieval age, that is what they used when there was no matchstick and the rest of them. Now you read the passage a second time. We've done that, don't worry. Now, after reading each sentence, you will state which words you will think you can. We have done that. So let's just go to their correction. Now, that first sentence, look at it here. The first one that you said that we should remove the great river. Sorry, we should remove the great. We should remove, what else did we remove there? The hot plains, all right? We remove the hot plains, right? Are you guys with me?
Gently in its course now.
Okay,
Gently
thank you.
in its course.
Gently in its course. Great. Okay, now let's look at what the material is having for us. Notice that the main statement here is the great river Nile flows gently in its course through the hot plains in the first half of the year. But later on, the Nile overflows. What did they remove? They remove when the melting snows and the rains on the mountains far to the south swell its tributaries. This is all they remove. All these ones are just addition, trying to talk about, like, to beautify the situation. The main situation that happened there is that the great river Nile flows gently in its course through the hot plains in the first half of the year, but later on the Nile overflows. Do you get the logic they use in moving redundancy here. This whole sentence that was removed here is mainly talking more, trying to describe, giving more beauty to the main event that happened there. That is why we can remove it and there will be nothing destroyed in the sentence. Okay? Now, the clause that has just been removed, namely, when the mountain snows and the rain on the mountains far to the south swell its tributaries, is a less important part of the statement as it only gives, oh, sorry, what was that? Okay. As it only gives further information relating to the words later on. You guys can mute now. Sorry, I was to mute you. Mute yourself, Abraham, sorry. So, later on, it is for this reason that it can be removed without damaging the basic meaning of the sentence. Notice also that this is a subordinate clause. Don't forget that in English, in the sentence structure, we do have the main clause and the subordinate clause in the sentence structure. If you study the structure of a sentence, you notice that in a sentence, you have the main clause and the subordinate clause. So when you are removing redundancies from a sentence, you focus on the subordinate clause, not the main clause. Because if you tamper with the main clause, the idea will be lost. Now, what we have retained so far is the entire main clause. It is important to learn to separate the main clause from its subordinate clause in order to understand where the basic meaning of the sentence and details lie. So, it means what you will study first if you want to be good and sound in summarizing, in removing redundancies from a sentence, is to study sentence structure, how to know the main clause and the subordinate clause in a sentence. So if you don't know that before, you can look for videos on YouTube or read any book that talk about main clause and subordinate clause, or we may decide to hold a class on that to study main clause and subordinate clause so that they will help us to be able to separate main ideas from subordinate ideas. Notice also that in the main clause stated above, other phrases can be cut down to remove some details which are not absolutely essential. Those are the ones we removed in our own practical section on that particular story. Because I know some of you would have been thinking, oh, so the grades that we remove and all those gently through it because they were not correct. There were things you can remove too. The sentence will still stand. Now let's go there. Remember that we are trying to summarize, and in summaries, there is bound to be loss of detail and richness of information. Details are necessary in full-scale writing, but not in summaries. Now, try and see which phrase you feel can be removed from the main clause above without destroying its basic meaning. In the blank spaces below, note down the words you wish to remove. Have you chosen to remove any of these through the hot planes? I hope you guys remember that we remove. Somebody mentioned this through the hot planes when we're doing the practicals. In the first half of the year, it was yesterday we removed this one. We did not talk about it today, and I intentionally did not talk. But today, we're also wise enough to move gently in its course. Which means if you remove all this from that main clause too, the sentence will still make sense. That is summary. At the whole end, when you are trying to summarize that statement, you'll be left with the great river Nile flows to the hot plains, but later on, the Nile overflows. We have less than 1 minute. We'll soon be bounced out of this class. Will you guys join back? Should we start the meeting again so that we can complete this section? Or we should stop here? You have less than 1 minute to answer.
Yes, we can join back.
All right.
By what time?
Just now, immediately.